Hello, I am on my way to play a biker in some sort of production. I don't know what it is. I will be, what did they say? I will be a background performer. I don't know much else than that at this moment. It's a fair drive, but over these next minutes, I will try to give advice on how to be a good background performer. But for the moment, I must drive. So stay tuned. More insightful information to follow. Hello again. So, back to the business of being a good background performer. One of the main things is be there.
You're back online.
And be on time. It's a crazy business, and if they tell you have to be there at 5 in the morning, that's when you have to be there. If the buses aren't running and you don't drive, you have to find some way to be there. Once you've committed, you must be there. Also, it's depending on what it is that's going on in the show. Like today, of course, it's bikers. So when you go, you take some options as to how you could look like a biker. That means different pants, different shoes, different shirts, stuff. I'm not sure if they're going to like these suspenders, but see, I can put them under my shirt. But they are necessary, because I went down to a wardrobe thing, and they liked the pants and such. I had other suspenders on. They were under the shirt. They didn't particularly like the shirt I had. They wanted something darker, so I went darker. I also have my leather rebel hat, I guess I would call it. They seem to like that, although I have another option. And I have some glasses. Here's one thing. Mirrored sunglasses. Mirrored sunglasses, they typically don't like, because the mirrors, of course, show all the stuff in reflection.
500 meters, turn left onto 16th Avenue.
Thank you. And if you are showing the reflection, then ultimately you'll see the crew and the lights and the cameras and stuff, and they don't like that. So sunglasses that are, in vogue with whatever it is you're doing might be good, but not mirrored. Tinted, other things. I mean, they'll tell you what they want. If they want you to wear glasses and you don't have any, they'll figure something out. If you have something that they like, they'll use. But if they're, absolute mirror, it is very unlikely that they will have you use them. So, and you can bring them if you want, but they probably won't like them. They probably won't. So, I am heading off, and my intention is to be there somewhat early. I do like to get there early, even if I don't go into the place, which will be the folding area. Oh, hi. I'm still here. Another thing that is good to do is, in Ontario, there's a course you have to take, and then you have to bring your proof of completion of this course. I don't remember the name of the course off the top of my head. Worker Health and Safety Awareness in 4 steps. And if you don't have that, they'll have you do it right there. Even if you've done it, they'll have you do it again. So you got to print out your certificate. They often might want to make a copy of your driver's license and other such things. Another thing to be aware of and to take with you is, of course, certainly something to write with, because they get tired of everybody saying, do you have a pen, do you have a pen, do you have a pen? And I usually take extra pens so I can lend them out. Sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. So I have arrived, and there's all kinds of cones. There'll always be lots of cones. One thing, of course, is like today they have, it seems to be a large church as the holding area. So first, it is good to get to the place early. Also, if there are certain areas marked off for certain people, then park in those areas. Like, I didn't see anything here. I saw signs that said where BG Holding is, that's where I will go eventually. But there's nowhere that specifically says this is where the background people park. So I have found a nice parking spot, and I am pleased with it, and I will stay here. But, you know, there are all kinds of places around a church that have restrictions like, this is for the rector, this is for the pastor, this is for the this, this. Don't park in those places. The main thing about being a background performer is you are in the background. And it's good not to be terribly noticed. You know, if they say come in biker stuff, do that. If they say come in sort of casual on the street clothing, do that. Don't wear a big feathered hat and other such things. See, we are not, background performers are not the focus of anything. In some cases, I think we're looked at as a necessary evil that, well, yes, if you're going to do a street scene, there have to be people on the street. Now, do they necessarily want, or, you know, I mean, they've got things, they've got lights, they've got electrical things, they've got traffic things, all kinds of things. They don't really want to be worried about some background performer who's, you know, having a bit of a meltdown because they don't agree with how the scene is going. When you come to these things, it is really good to be prepared. If they give you some sort of instruction about what you're supposed to do and where you're supposed to go, whether it be where you're supposed to park or where you're supposed to sit, or once you do, if you do get on camera, what you're supposed to do, then do it. And it's funny, I was talking to a young fellow who's new to all this, and I said, you know, you really only speak up in matters of real danger or safety issues. And I told him about when I got called to Copper one day, and it was a scene in a bar. And it was big. It was a big scene. It was lots of us. Lots of actors, lots of background, lots of crew, and the bar was pretty big. So you can tell after you've been on a set the sounds and the things that are said as it's getting close to filming. And it was close. Things like lock it up. Before that, there'd be like final touches where in come the makeup people and the this and the that and da. Anyway, so we're in this bar scene. And we're sitting not in a very prominent place. We're probably not going to get seen, but, you know, the place has to be full, so there we are. It was I and a fellow named Adrian who I met on Copper. So there was all kinds of wall sconces in this bar. And they are, of course, lit by candles, because this is 1864 in New York City. So at some point, something in all the preparation words goes off that it's time for the candles to be lit. Now, I never heard them say light the candles, but anyway, around comes the lady to light the candles. Now, the sconces they have two sort of arms that come out from the wall, and there's a candle in each one. And they can be moved. They're kind of on an axis that means that, like, they could go right up against the wall, but sorry, this is the backwards way of doing this. I don't know how to do this. Well, just imagine my two wrists were together. Anyway, they should be away from the wall. Anyway, we weren't really paying much attention. We're just sitting doing our thing, which is, waiting. Because, hurry up and wait. And the candles are being lit and things are happening and you hear all the, we're getting close to filming time. And, so we sit. Anyway, just seconds before they're going to get filming, I look up at the wall where the candle is and where the sconce is. And as I said, the sconce is supposed to be away from the wall. Well, one of them wasn't. And the wall is burning. I'm like, oh. And I look, and I'm kind of stuck where I am. I'm not right up against the wall, but really, there's nowhere for me to get up or get up. But I look at Adrian, who can get out really quick, and I said, Adrian, the wall's on fire. And he looked up and he said, oh my God. I said, what do we do? He said, you got to yell fire. Get up, get up. And he did. And even though they were in the, lock it up, final, whatever, just literally seconds away from shooting, we're on a set. It's in an old automotive plant that is no more. And most everything is made out of wood. And fire spreads quickly, especially when it comes to wood. There is wallpaper on the wall, and I don't know what that's made of. And it's not a huge anything yet, but given a couple of minutes, it might be. And from what I remember, it was not a really short scene about to happen. So anyway, Adrian jumps up, fire! And I go, huh? And sure enough, the wall's on fire. And in comes someone with a fire extinguisher, so they put it out. And really, no terrible damage was done. It probably only delayed the filming by a minute or two, maybe two. Because they put the thing out, and then, they came back, and they said, oh, look at that. That thing's right up against the wall. That shouldn't be like that. So, they moved it away from the wall, and they relit the candle and made sure that, the scorched area and the burning area was really not going to do it again. We did say, we'll keep an eye on that in case it, comes through. And they went around the other side of the wall just to make sure that the fire hadn't, got through or it was smoldering there, ready to take off again. So, yeah, unless it's a matter of extreme, safety to all, and really, it could, if we hadn't said something, who knows what might have happened. We could have been on the news being in this inferno. And if it had it would have been an inferno. The whole everything was made out of wood. And once fire gets going, it's a lot harder to stop than when it's just a little, oh, look, a little bit of wall on fire. Anyway, so what other advice? Well, oh yes, you do need to have I mentioned this before, proof of completion, worker health and safety awareness in 4 steps. It's hard to believe I did this 5 years ago. So what I do whenever I come to one of these things is I print this, so I can hand it over. If you're an actor, have your actor number. Have a pen. Extra pens. Bring extra choices for them in terms of wardrobe. Like this hat here, it was painful for me to do it, but I had a pin on here, and I put it there the day I went to the funeral of a former student at the school that I work at. And he was into drama. He was into a lot of things. He was a character. And it was tragic that the disease that he had or was born with, that finally took him. But anyway, so I put this pin. I should have brought it with me. It was the, typical dramatic 2 faces, one laughing, one crying, or such. Anyway, I will put it back on here. I put it on here for him, but I know they will want this hat because it's a biker thing. I'm also wearing it now so that my hair can get ugly and gross, because they might want me without my hat, possibly. And of course, if I'm a biker, I've probably been riding a bike and my hair would be gross. Probably. So, anyway, I do everything I can to be prepared. I even have, I had to go hunting for shoes. I have just, dark running sneaker kind of things. And the guy said, "Do you have any boots?" I said, "Well, look." I knew I had something. I did dig around. I found they're not really boots. But you know what? These pants are a little bit long, and really nobody can tell if they're boots or not. They are kind of heavy-duty, industrial-looking, black kind of shoes. Have I really worn them ever? No. Do they fit? Yeah. Could I do, will they be good for anything except sort of standing around? No, probably not. But I will, before I go in, no, probably not before I go in there. I will take the shoes in. I will take my vest in. I will take my jacket in. I have an extra hat. They always don't want logos, and it's funny how they just assume something has a logo, like a Harley thing. But this one, it's not a Harley thing. It's kind of aged looking. It's just Bike Week from Daytona. It has an eagle. It has wings. But it's not a Harley thing. Because they don't like logos. So, I could do that. Or I could do that. Or I can do that. Oh, another thing. Be prepared when you get there. Now, there was only one time I went to something where they said they might want to trim my beard. And my beard was pretty long at the time. But it was one of those recreation things where I was going to be actually playing somebody who was a real somebody, and they had a shorter beard. But because it was a real thing, I had actual lines, and which meant it was going to pay quite well. And it was my ticket to get into ACTRA. I said, "Go ahead, cut my beard." Now, they ended up cutting it shorter than I thought they would. But, I find that when I go to hair and makeup, they don't do much of anything. Because they're not, they just say, "Yep, you're good." A lot of women end up with, they could do extensions. They could, they tend to do more things to women's hair. And probably makeup too. But some of the guys, they do, depending, they do some pretty extensive stuff as well. Me, it's just like, they want me to look like I am, that's why they have me here. And, they can put stuff in my hair to try and make it look like it looks now. Or they can just say, "Yeah, you're good." So, by the way, these glasses, I'm going to take these in. For one thing, they're not, well, they're pretty good. Anyway, these are, from what I can tell, quadfocals. So, you know what, if you need reading glasses, take them, because there is paperwork to fill out. Remember, of course, depending, like when we were on copper, and it was a period piece, you cannot wear your glasses. You cannot. If they want you to wear glasses, they'll have period glasses for you to wear. So, I mean, the main thing of being a background performer, if you want to do this, be prepared and be ready. Like, say they tell you that you're going to be the one. Well, the first thing I ever did, I walked into a thing. Excuse me. Thought I was going for an audition. They'd already picked me off the picture, which of course featured this hat. And they said, "Oh yeah, today you're going to handle weapons, you're going to sell drugs, and you're going to shoot a rocket launcher." Well, I never did get to shoot the rocket launcher because I'm left-handed, and it was a right-handed rocket launcher, if that makes any sense. And at the time I was kind of irked because I really wanted to do it. But you know what? In the grand scheme of things, we are not their priority. And there have been times where I have been told, "Yeah, you're going to do this," and then you don't, and you're like, "Oh, well, go back and sit in holding and wait, that's fine." Really, don't, as I say, in the case of safety, make a fuss. If they switch you out for somebody else because whatever they do, just basically suck it up and say, yeah, okay, because you'll get in there somewhere. And another thing, it's funny, a fellow named Dennis gave me this great advice, and that is, go deep, you'll get more days. And what does that mean? Well, if you're prominently featured one day, chances are, even though you're not speaking, you're not whatever, but you say you're right beside the main character, they see you a lot, chances are they're not going to call you back for that episode for a while, or, like, who knows. Whereas, if, say, you're on street scenes and you're way off in the distance and nobody really ever sees you, it's more likely to say, yeah, get him back in. So yes, go deep, you'll get more days. Because what it really comes down to is, it's good to get a lot of days. The thing I'm doing today, I think, is just one day. There's no callbacks, there's no, we're going to do this again. It's not like an ongoing thing. I think it's just one thing in one episode. So there's no, like, there's nothing to avoid. So if they say, hey, sit here, be prominent, I'll sit there, I'll walk there, I'll do whatever. And if they change it, I'll do whatever they do change it. I mean, they always use the old line, are you comfortable with this? And, I mean, generally speaking, most people say, yeah, sure. And if you're really not, then, do speak up. Because, if they say, are you comfortable with this? You say, yes, I am, and then it ends up that you weren't. They'll say, well, we asked you if you were comfortable with this. So, I will think about what else it is that I have to say. One thing, of course, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you where I am. I'm not going to tell you what show I'm on, because they really don't like pre-publicity anything about anything. Oh, another thing. Right. Yes, of course. Every cell phone is, of course, a camera. You do not take pictures on the set. You don't sneak your phone out and say, ooh, looky, I think I'll just shoot that. You don't do it. You will get kicked off. You will be sent home. I think in some cases they can even fine, but or if you do shoot a picture and then stick something up on social media, like, hey, look, I was at the set of whatever. As it's been told to me, they have a lot of lawyers and they will sue your ass. So don't dick around with your phone. It's best, actually. Certainly when you go on the set, turn your phone off. Not just down. Off. It's best if you don't even take it there to the set. It's really best. But then, of course, you don't want it to get stolen. So in some ways, it's best, unless you really, really need it, to even hide it away in your car, leave it deep in your bag. You don't want to get into phone trouble, or certainly you don't want to be in the middle of a take and have your phone ring. Because, on this show, it looks pretty big. I've heard rumblings there might be like dozens of us today, like maybe 50, 80, I don't know how many there's going to be. But, however many there are, there's that many background. There's actors, there's technicians, there's makeup people, there's hair people. There's like every minute is costing a lot of money. And if they're in the middle of a take and your cell phone goes off, they get pissed. So, turn off your cell phone. Don't have anything, like, I know there's no pagers anymore, but really, don't have anything with you that will make noise, or that you'll drop, or anything. The whole thing about being a background performer, in more ways than one, you do just want to be in the background. That's it. That's all. You walk where they want you to. The other thing, they sometimes, and I've done with me a number of times, is they want the reaction shot, and that is that, like, something is happening over there, so there's some loud noise. So what do? When they tell you to, you go like this. Ugh. Anyway, be sure and park your ego and everything else, and be ready. If you're a cash person, you are not treated poorly, you're just not treated as well as others. If you're an actor, you get treated better, but generally you work less. That's a whole other discussion. But when it comes time to lunch, the actors, the directors, producers, technicians and stuff eat before the background people. And then the actor people go, and then all the others. So just be prepared to follow their direction and sit and wait. And when you're invited to go and eat, go and eat. Another thing they will do on some shows, see, when they call you in for something, you are guaranteed 8 hours. Whether they not need you for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, you're guaranteed to be paid for 8. Sometimes they will have you sit around even though they know they don't need you, or they won't possibly. But they figure we're paying them, we're going to keep them sitting here. But on days like that, typically a lot of shows do 6 hours, break for an hour for lunch, and do another 6 hours. So it's a 13-hour day, pretty much. But if they know they don't need you, then chances are maybe half an hour before lunch, they will wrap you. That means you're done. And then they don't feed you. You still get paid for 8 hours, even though you've only maybe been there for 5.5 or 6. But, so, you know what, bring snacks, bring water, have stuff in your car if you're in the car. If you're not, then, you know, have a bag with something. And, you know, I mean, when you come to one of these things, don't plan on being able to pick up your kids at the end of the day, because you never know how long it's going to be. I've been on things where literally it was like, okay, we get into our costumes. This is on Copper. We do a little walkabout at the end of an alley, like as in people on the street. And then they say, you're wrapped. You're like, wow, that was good. And then there's other times you go in and you could be there for 15, 16 hours. It just depends. So you never know. So on days that you go somewhere to do something, if you're a background performer, just just be prepared to be there for a very long time. So take things to amuse yourself, cards, a book. If you're writing something, bring it along, whatever it is you're writing. There are a lot of people in the industry who do background stuff and sit and they write their own scripts and they do all kinds of other stuff. I've seen people pull out their taxes. But, of course, you have to be ready at a moment's notice to go to the set if they need you. They do. So, as I say, I'm quite early. So what I'm going to do is just make sure I have everything that I need. And probably I will head to the background holding area with all my stuff that I think that I will need to take with me, and find a place to sit. I have found a place to park, which, by the way, parking is also an issue. When you're a background person, if they really don't have enough parking, they'll tell you, well, too bad, find your own. So, but in this case, this is a big lot. It's a big church, and there does seem to be no shortage of parking. But things happen. They do. So, as I say, I brought some kind of those heavy-duty shopping bags with stuff. I will bring things in that I know, you know what, typically, because I know what's what, and I know what they're looking for, pretty much, I'll bring some extra stuff in, but pretty much they'll look at me and say, yeah, you're good. Or, you know what, they might say, gee, can you lose the suspenders? And I'll say, well, you don't want my pants falling down. So then I will switch and put the shirt on the outside. And you know what, I might do that anyway, because I don't think they want the suspenders. They're ugly, they're gross, but they do have character. But they're red. And if I had darker ones, maybe they would say, okay. So, you know what, I think I'm already going to preemptively put the suspenders under my shirt. And even though I'll probably have a vest on and stuff, they don't want that flash of red, probably. So anyway, as I say, I'm going to try and be considerate of what I think that they want. And hopefully when I get there, they will say, yeah, you're good. Go to hair and makeup. They'll say, yeah, you're good. And then I will sit and I will wait. I should have brought cards. I didn't. I will have my phone with me. It is charging. I hope it is. I had my, oh yeah, my phone is nicely charged. I will not turn it off yet, but I will make sure I'm ready to turn it off. And I think I will gather my resources and gather my extra costuming things, such as my extra hat. And what else do I have here? Oh, aha, here's a perfect example of what I like these, but they won't. Mirrored sunglasses. You can see everything. I do, as I said, I think earlier, I have some sunglasses with me, but they are not mirrored. I think they're kind of light green, I think. So, I have a pen, I have my information, I have my ACTRA number, I have my certificate thing. I'm going to gather things, and I'm going to go in. Stay tuned for updates on how to be a good background performer for television and movies. Stay tuned. Bye for now. Hello. The time is 2:53 in the morning. I'm home. I had another successful day being a background performer. It was every time you go to a set, it's different. And this is just a one-time thing, from what I know. So, I stood where they wanted, I did what they wanted. Most of the time I was not very prominently located, but in the end I think for a good part, not a good part, but a good part of the script, when something rather climactic happens, I'm right there. So I think that went well. Anyway, as I would say, I signed in, let them check me for wardrobe, hair and makeup immediately. Of course, I went over the makeup, just said, yeah, you're fine. Hair said, yeah, you're fine. And they never did a thing to me. And then it was just, follow direction, go back to holding, go back to here, oh, here's a different thing. We were in a bar scene, and I've seen this before. They had squares laid out on a table with numbers. And you were to take your bottle or your shot glass or your whatever glass from a specific spot, and whenever you were finished and had to go back to holding, you put it back in the same spot. And that all went fine until I showed up maybe at the fifth trip back and forth, and my bottle was number 29 and there was nothing there. So they gave me something else. And then that worked all right for a while, and I just kept putting that back to 29, but then, of course, another time I showed up, and there was nothing there. So, anyway, I don't think anybody anywhere is going to notice that the level of liquid in the bottle that I was supposedly drinking from was different, because it was a dark scene, it was in a bar, and it's never going to play, as they say. Never, never, ever will it play. Anyway, I will record. I will record more after I've had a time to, go inside and reflect, but most importantly, sleep. I'm as Forrest Gump said when he went on his run, and then he finally decided to stop. He said, "I'm kind of tired." Well, I'm kind of tired. A lot of it is because the call sheet is supposed to come out the night before, and a tentative call sheet had come out the night before, but not the final one. And then, so I was kind of waiting for the final one, so you know when you're supposed to be there, because that's important. And it never really did come, and then it didn't come till the morning. So all through the night, I was afraid that I was going to sleep in, and that I was going to miss it. And I was pretty sure that the time would not get earlier. That the call time was not going to get earlier, that it would only get later or be the same. So I really didn't have that much to worry about, but even though you know what should be, it doesn't mean it will be. So I really didn't sleep well last night. So I've been up, well, not completely for 24 hours, but I really didn't sleep well. So I need to sleep. I do. And so I will. So I'll put more videos up about being a background performer and other stories from here and there at another time. So, if you do, well, you know what? If you do think about doing this, and it's interesting. It is interesting. Some people, you'll know pretty much the first time whether you like it or you don't. So, but it's worth giving a try. It's interesting being on a set and seeing how it works and seeing how it doesn't work. It is. Anyway, enough. More than enough. I must sleep. Good night.